Alright, good afternoon. So this goes out to all the young ones out there. I hope YouTube does not take this down. But it is 2026, okay? And I want all the young ones out there, all the young kids, I want y'all to act like it is literally the 2000s or, the 90s and the early 10s, 2010s. Because let's face it to you, kids today are very boring. You're stuck in your phones all the time, like, y'all know what these are. The poppets, the little, poppers, okay? So let me tell you a little story. Back when I was in middle school, there was this girl, and what frustrates me is I did not have the confidence that I wish I had at the time. You gotta learn to think outside the box and, be creative with it, with everything in life. So there was this girl in one of my classes, right? She brought these into class, and she basically said that, it was a ruler. The teacher had asked, and the teacher was like, you got to stop beating the ruler, smacking the ruler. She had these poppets, okay? So kids out there, y'all going to take these into school, mess around with your teachers. Just make sure they don't see them, and just mess around with them. Have a good old time. Be a goofball, okay? You're only a kid once. Don't let that, go to waste. Y'all don't realize how lucky you have it today. Okay, I'm talking we need to bring back the era of food fights, Message all your friends in middle school, last week of school, whatever. Tell them you're going to have a food fight today in the middle of the cafeteria and just go crazy. Now, you can be the good kid and help the custodians clean that up afterwards, or you can just say F it and not deal with it. But, so you're not disciplined as much, I would say to, go ahead and clean up, help clean up afterwards. And lastly, I'll say this, last week of school, 8th grade. This is what you do. You and your friends get a bunch of paintball guns and just go to town, in the gym or the cafeteria, anywhere, all throughout the school. Just have a paintball war in the school. Upload it to a YouTube channel. Y'all will blow up, okay? Just do silly content like that. This is all things I wish I had done. You only live once. I'm not going to make a fairy tale and tell you there's some dude in the sky that tells you right from wrong every day. And if you got parents that force you to go to church every day as a kid, I'm sorry. You got to figure that out for yourself and be like, no, I don't want this. I don't want this. I don't want to have to go to church every Sunday. I want to be able to do what I want to do on the weekends. Yeah, so that's something I want y'all to realize here is I have a lot of regret, for not being myself as a kid, wearing the clothes I want to wear. I wore freaking jean shorts every day in school, in the summertime for the most part. And I never asked myself, is that something I want to wear, or is that something my stupid mother wants me to wear, So it's and I kind of just accepted that. It's I had no sense of fashion or style, and it was always what she wanted me to wear. So that's not the right way of doing it, And at 26, I have no idea where I want to go moving forward in life, but, your teen years are your years, This is your life. This is no one else's life. You are not controlled by anybody's rules, anybody's morals. This is your life. No one knows what happens when you die. I don't understand why so many religious people, allow that to define every aspect of their life, And, yeah, that's basically what I wanted to say. Last little part of this video here, I hope when I become successful, a lot of kids see this, this is your life, you want to explore some abandoned building, your parents say no, go out and do it anyway, the biggest thing that I saw once I started exploring was, and it really opened me up, it was someone that spray painted on an abandoned fort in, Massachusetts somewhere. It said, fuck your parents, you only live once, and that's true for the most part, So, yeah, and the very last thing I will say here is yeah, you live by your own morals, your own rules, and it's funny today, because I'm in a group chat, we all talk about this, boys will be boys, doesn't matter how old you are, like I said, you kids don't realize how lucky you have it today, because when I was a kid, our generation, most of the teachers were, in their 40s and 50s, and above, we didn't have these, fine, young, snow bunnies, or, just Latinas and all these, crazy women, and, it used to be the boys, the young teens, we all would hit on the women, hit on the teachers, that were attractive, for the few, there were, a few where I went to school, but not much, and today, now you have the teachers hitting on the young students, And it's like, this is why I hate society. Because, like, if I was a kid again, and, teacher is being affectionate to me, and you go and, like, not being professional, I don't care. I'm not, like, snitching on that. I'm gonna let that happen. Like, I would be like, hey, yo, like, I'm gonna let that happen. And, like, whoever snitches is stupid. And it's like, if I had to testify against this teacher, I would be like, there's no reason for them to go to jail. Like, it's a blessing in disguise. Like, I mean, people I know, we all said, like, where was this when we were kids? Like, I don't get it. Like, life is about experiences, okay? And there's no reason to put an attractive woman in jail for messing around with some young person. There really isn't, Like, if it's a man, it's a whole different story, But everybody is like, oh, yeah, it's fine because it's a woman. So, that's just how life is, I guess. But anyway, this has been OBC Explorers. This is a controversial topic, but I really don't care. And, yeah, Happy New Year.